Yo, what's up everybody? Holding Nice with you here, bringing you Vinland saga anime review. This is episode 6. This was a very, very good episode. I would have to say so far that the 6 episodes we got, this is like hands down the best one. This basically was an episode of Thorfin as a kid growing up to his teenage years, I guess you can say. I mean, he's still a kid, but you can tell he's like a little bit older now. He's probably at least like 13 at most right now. But it starts off with him in his camp, and basically, you know, he's with the guys now. Now he's a pirate, technically. And Askeladd was basically making a deal with some Danish people from England. And as he's making a deal with them, they get surrounded by other people, and these people start shooting arrows at them and taking out the people he just made a deal with. And everyone's getting into like, you know, fighting stance, picking up their weapons and stuff. And there's this one part where like this one guy had Thorfin, cause he saw Thorfin there. He's like, "Oh, you're a kid pirate. It's sad to be you, but don't hate me for this. Hate the Danes." And he grabbed him and slammed him face down to the floor. And he was going to stab him. And then we see this one scene where it looks like he did stab him, but in reality it was Askeladd behind the guy and he stabbed him. But he almost poked like the back of Thorfin, and the blood is dripping down. So it looks like the way they made it looked like the guy stabbed him in the back. But in reality, Thorfin did not get stabbed in the back. It was actually him who got stabbed in the back. And Askeladd told him, "The weak ones are always the first ones to die first in war, like you." And he just walks away smiling. And Thorfin gets upset. And later on in the same scene, he actually finds someone else, and he fights that person. He actually is able to defeat and kill that person. And like his hand, you know, at a traumatized from killing somebody, and he's a child, he freaks out. He just starts to scream. And Askeladd saw this, and he looks, and he's like, "Wow, he got his first kill. He finally, you know, did something." And from there, the episode just took off, and we get to see all these different parts of Thorfin doing different things. Right now, they have him as the scout of their unit, so of course he's the one who gets to go out and search the perimeters and all that. So, but as he's doing this, we get to see different fight scenes of him. And we get this one very interesting scene that's very important, where he fights 2 guys, and he has only 1 dagger at this time still. And that one guy was able to grab him by the throat and hold him down. And when the other guy, his partner, was gonna come with his sword to kill Thorfin was like, "I'm gonna die, what should I do?" And he's looking around, and he notices that the guy who's choking him has a dagger on his side. So he takes his dagger and he kills him with that dagger. And then with that same dagger, he ends up 2-piecing the other guy. And from that moment on, he carries those 2 same daggers. So far that we notice. The one that he got from his dad, and the one that he got from the guy he just killed. And this is when he starts to basically dual wield. And we see him even get better with dual wielding the daggers. Of course, he's still young. He's only like 13 right now, maybe 12. But he's still young, so he's not able to carry a full-fledged sword like a grown man can. But he's dual wielding those daggers pretty darn well. But as his searching goes on, he gets an arrow to like the side, and he's able to run away from the guards chasing him, but he falls unconscious. And this is when we get a very interesting scene of a mother and daughter washing their clothes on the riverside. And the mother said something very interesting. She was like, "Our previous king was very nice and humble, and he was a good Christian man, and he wanted to make friends with the Danes. But our new king is an idiot, and he's trying to cause war and annihilate them all." And the daughter was like, "Mom, calm down, don't say that out loud. If you get caught saying that, we can get in trouble." But the mom, as we can tell, she doesn't care. She just continues to speak and tell us more of the story. And as they going down the river and they talking, the daughter actually notices Thorfin. He's unconscious on like the riverbank, on top of a tree, and he has the arrow. I think it's like with 1 arrow, maybe 2 stuck in his shoulders. And they take him home and they nourish him. And when he wakes up, they have a pet dog. And he wakes up, and Thorfin wakes up, and the dog jumps on him and starts to lick him in the face, saying, "Good morning," like how most dogs are. And this freaks out Thorfin because he's not used to this. the last couple of times he's seen dogs and wolves, he actually had to kill them because it was a fight to the death every time. And you know, prior to this, he had to kill 2 bulldogs, English bulldogs, that were running after him to hunt him down. So him seeing this dog kind of brought back those memories, and he was like, whoa. And he got kind of scared. You saw it in his face. But then the mom and the daughter came in, and the dog just jumped off the bed and greeted them. And she was like, I'm washing your clothes right now because they're dirty, so you can use those clothes right there. And don't worry, both of your daggers are there, and they're in place. So Thorfin is wearing those clothes, and they kind of big on him because that belonged to her husband, who we discovered he's actually in the military right now. That's why he's not home. But Thorfin, you know, he eats, he drinks with them and stuff like that, but he can't understand them, and because the language they speak is different, because he's a Viking and they not. So, but as they eating, the daughter starts to scratch, and she's like, I feel itchy. And then she sees Thorfin scratching, and he has all these fleas. And she starts to freak out. And the mom takes him outside, and she starts to comb his hair. And then we found out something interesting. She had a son named John, who was like Thorfin. Always, you know, because he was playing in the dirt and playing in the wilderness, he always had fleas on him. And when he used to get fleas, after he used to bathe, she used to comb his hair. And she's saying this story to Thorfin, and Thorfin is like, I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying. And she slaps him, and she starts laughing. She's like, haha, you can't speak. Even though I can't understand you. But it was a funny moment until a guard shows up. And this is actually one of the guards that was actually looking for Thorfin. And Thorfin was about to pull out his dagger slowly, but the mom was like, you know, talking to him, and she was a very smart woman, and she basically talked to him in a way where he wouldn't be too intrigued in Thorfin, but Thorfin wouldn't do anything, you know, like pull out his dagger and like try to go for the kill. So she was playing the peacemaker. But before the guard left, he looked at Thorfin, and he was like, is that your boy? And she was like, yeah, this is my youngest son. And when she said my youngest son, he was like, oh, okay, that's your youngest son, so I'm not gonna bother, you know, recruiting him or whatever, or asking why he's not recruited. So she just walked away in his horse and was like, if you see anyone suspicious, I should say, notify us immediately. And he left. And Thorfin is like, you know, he's shocked. He looks at her like, wow, you defended me. Even though he really doesn't know what's going on, he can't understand the language. But the fact that the soldier left and didn't engage with Thorfin must have been like, okay, she must have stood up for me. And he looked at her like, wow. Unfortunately, later on that night, the daughter, which we don't get the mom or the daughter's name, but in this episode, so I'm not sure if they're going to be important for later on, but the daughter was like, Mom, he can't replace John. He's a criminal and he's a pirate. And the mom was like, for a pirate to be a young boy like this, something must have happened in his life. And she replied, it doesn't matter what happened or not. He cannot replace John. And then she said, I'm going to go and report him to the authorities. But then Thorfin took a piece of stick and from the fire, and he told them, run. And he runs outside, and he finds a random cottage that's not inhabited by anybody, and he burns it down to the ground as a signal for escalating the other Vikings. And the soldier that was actually scouting the area looking for Thorfin finds him. And Thorfin, of course, wanted to be found by his guy. And as you see in one of my thumbnails, he ends up slaughtering all his people. The guards that are with him, the fellow guards, which is like 3 or 4 of them. Plus he fights him one-on-one, and then he slaughters him as well in front of the mother. And the mothers look at him, and they both like... And he's like, didn't I tell you to run? Run! And she starts to cry, and everyone else is running because they see the Vikings come up ashore. And we get this really interesting scene where she's looking at Thorfin, and Thorfin is looking at her. And while Thorfin is looking at her, he's remembering his family. But then, from her being there and the Vikings running past by her, she just disappears. So I'm not sure if that means the Vikings struck her down. They take her because she's a woman, and you know what Vikings did back then when they infiltrated a village, what they did to the women and children. Or did that symbolize something else? And I wonder, because the episode ended with Thorfin running to everyone else, and as they trample in the village and destroy everything, we see the comb that the mother used on his hair. was destroyed on the floor and ripped to pieces, like it was stepped on or crushed. So I'm wondering, will the mother or the daughter, will they play an important role later on in the story? Because I was thinking that maybe the daughter was introduced with the mom, because maybe that's going to be like a future love interest of his. But the way this episode ends, you can most likely assume that the mother's dead, and if that's the case, the daughter will probably be dead too. Because like I said, you know what they did to the women and children Vikings back then when they invaded the village. I don't want to be too gruesome and say what those words are, because, you know, YouTube and their rhythm and stuff like that, but don't want to get too much into that. But yeah, it was a pretty decent episode. Very impressed with Thorfin, the way he became a child to a man and the way he's doing things, and even Askeladd is praising him, saying you did a good job. I believe his name is Bajan. Askeladd, right hand man, the big tall husky dude. Even he notices Thorfin's progress, and he smiles like a couple of times when he sees Thorfin doing something good, or what they consider good. You know, they're pirates. Pirates are not really good. But yeah, I would just, for anyone that's a manga reader, if y'all can explain to me what was that final scene about the comb breaking and the mother just being there and such as passes by and boom, she just disappears. Because I have a feeling that girl, her daughter, something's gonna happen later on with her. I don't know why, but I just have that feeling that something later on in the episode is gonna happen. Either she might meet Thorfin again, or she might be a love interest, she might be an enemy. Because we do know we get to see a blonde-haired character in the opening with a mask and 2 bodyguards. So that could be Thorfin's sister, but older. It could be this chick that we don't get her name. I mean, it could be a completely whole nother character. Who knows? But it's just my theory and prediction. Again, I'm not a manga reader, so don't quote me on that. But this was a really good episode, but that's what I have for you. Let me know what you like and didn't like about the episode. How do you feel about the episode? How do you feel about Thorfin becoming a man now and, you know, growing up more? Even though he's still a young teen. He should be like 13, I believe, right now, I heard. So, but yeah, that was the episode, guys. Peace out, have a good one.